Hello and a warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the globe to Global TV News Circle in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Anthony Momodu. President Bola Tinubu has said Nigeria is taking a significant step towards a sustainable and eco-friendly future by introducing a pioneering initiative to deploy a fleet of 100 electric buses. The president spoke at a high-level meeting with stakeholders and investors on the Nigerian carbon market and electric buses rollout program on Saturday in Dubai, UAE, on the margins of the COP28 Climate Change Summit. President Tinubu, in a statement by his spokesman, Ajuri Ngelale, explained that the strategic initiative was aimed at significantly reducing Nigeria's carbon footprint and modernizing the country's transportation systems as part of a larger effort to position Nigeria and Africa as the pioneering frontier of green manufacturing and industrialization, with a focus on natural gas as a transition fuel alongside other renewable energy sources. To spearhead this transformative plan, the president announced the appointment of the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zach Adedeji, and Director General of the National Council on Climate Change, Dahiru Salisu, to co-chair the Nigerian Carbon Market Activation Plan. The federal government said it is working with the United States and United Nations Program on HIV and AIDS and the Global Fund on an initiative aimed at ensuring country ownership and sustainability of national response to HIV/AIDS beyond 2030. The collaboration came just as the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, revealed that President Bola Tinubu's administration is committed to sustaining the initiative to treat more HIV patients annually using resources mobilized locally. The SGF, who spoke during the commemoration of the World AIDS Day in Abuja on Friday, said the government recognized the invaluable contributions of the communities in the fight against HIV and AIDS. At the backdrop of the pressures from the organized labor, there are indications that the federal government would return obligations and higher debt service posts. The planned FG deficit represents about 50% of total FGN revenues, but analysts project a higher proportion given the current revenue constraint as well as actual performance in 2023. The Nigerian Immigration Service has assured Nigerians will receive their passport 3 weeks from the day of application submission, except in cases of unanticipated technical difficulties. Speaking to reporters at the opening of the Igbo Passport Front Office in the Igbo Beyeku Local Council Development Area of Ikorodu, Lagos State, the Comptroller General, Mrs. Caroline Adepoju, stated that barring all technical problems, Nigerians should be able to completely apply for their passport, and within 3 weeks, they should be able to get it. According to her, since national identity numbers are connected to passports, it is crucial that all applicants register using the same information as the National Identity Management Commission. The military high command stated that troops, in collaboration with the operatives of the Department of State Services, arrested the leader of Boko of Islamic State for West African Province terrorist group in North Central and North West zones. Although the military did not identify the terrorist leader, it said he was in custody. A statement by the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, said the resolve of the military to go after the leaders of the terrorist groups led to the arrest of the terrorist leader. He noted that air operations conducted in the regions had led to the destruction of terrorist enclaves. And still in the news, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has lifted the suspension placed on the Part G operation specification of the United Nigerian Airlines. This is coming following the suspension of the Part G operations specifications of UNA by the NCAA after one of its aircraft landed passengers at the Asaba International Airport on Sunday rather than their destination and the Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. The airline had blamed poor weather for the diversion of the Abuja-bound flight to Asaba, the Delta State capital. However, in a statement dated December 1st, 2023, the NCAA said its investigation into the unfortunate incident revealed lack of adequate liaison between the Lagos OCC and the Lezi's OCC, which omitted appropriate flight briefing from the point of departure. The agency noted that the investigation also revealed that cockpit crew and the cabin crew did not hold pre-flight briefing before embarking on the flight, and that the OCC flight monitoring of the United Airlines does not monitor the aircraft in the company's operation specification Part G, as well as non-adherence to approved flight ATC flight plan. The NCAA subsequently recommended that the approved flight programs sent to the lessor and the necessary briefings should be conducted with a dispatcher of lessee in attendance. Indications has emerged that the National Assembly would pass the 2024 appropriation bill of 27.5 trillion naira on Tuesday, December 19. The Senate and the House of Representatives had passed the Renewed Hope budget for second reading. The Deputy Senate President Jibril Barrow hinted during the plenary that the budget might be passed by the lawmakers on December 19 before embarking on their Christmas and New Year break. During the deliberations, senators applauded President Bola Tinubu for his good intentions for the country, but some lamented the failure of the executive to provide the details of the budget. Core members have been warned to shun every form of misconduct throughout their service here in order to avoid being sanctioned by the NYSC bylaws. The Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Brigadier General Y.D. Ahmed, gave the warning today while addressing corps members in Edo State Orientation Camp, Okada. Likewise, their counterpart in Ondo State Orientation Camp in Ikara, Akoko, he said there are laid down rules and regulations guiding every corps member while in camp, adding that the scheme is not a safe abode for lawbreakers. Corps members were advised to avoid unnecessary journey and avoid embarking on any risky adventure that might put them in danger. General Ahmed also urged the corps members to respect the cultural beliefs of their host communities and avoid any action that may put them on collusion. He appealed to them to add value to their host communities by executing projects that would make life more comfortable for the residents. The attention of the Department of State Services DSS has been drawn to some spurious publications by one Jackson Ude on his X handle against the person and office of the DGSS Yusuf Magaji Bichi. In a statement made available to journalists by Director PR and Strategic Communications DSS states that the allegations are entirely false and wishes to clarify that neither the DG nor anyone acting on his directive has looted staff subsidy grants, and no such grant has been made available to the service, and once that is allocated, staff will, as usual, receive what is due them. Bichi has, in all ramifications, evidently catered for the welfare of active and retired personnel. The Nigerian Navy said its personnel have impounded and destroyed a boat conveying drums of illegally refined automated gas oil in the seaward of the Bonny Island Channel in Rivers State. A top official of the Navy in Borno, who did not want his name mentioned, disclosed this to journalists on Friday, saying the boat was arrested off the Bonny River. He stated, in coordinated effort, the diesel-laden boat was destroyed by men of the forward operating base Bonny, putting the estimated quantity of the destroyed product at 150,000 liters. The official further said the recent efforts by the security outfit were predicated on the charge of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, to officers and men to stamp out criminal activities in the maritime domain. At an event organized by the Project Enable Africa recently in Abuja to honor some prominent members of the disability community ahead of the forthcoming International Day of Persons with Disabilities, the Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disability, James David Lahu, has applauded President Bola Tinubu-led administration for promoting the rights and welfare and dignity of persons with disabilities in Nigeria, while appreciating the award of honor by Project Enable Africa. Lalu thanked the group for recognizing his efforts and contributions towards the development of the disability community, as well as his sacrifices to see that persons with disabilities have quality life and are not discriminated against on the account of their disabilities. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, on Friday destroyed 3 acres of cannabis farm in the Senyina town, Sokoto State. This was disclosed by the Commandant NDLEA Sokoto Command, Adamu Iro, at a briefing with journalists at the State Command headquarters on Saturday. According to him, the officers and men of the command swooped into action to uproot the illegal crop planted in a maize farm, and the suspect was arrested. Further stating at the briefing that Sokoto has a history of farming marijuana, but with the current happening, the state is trying to register itself as one of the states identified as producers of the illegal crop. Hoodlums suspected to be armed robbers have reportedly attacked students of the Gateway Polytechnic, Sapade, Ogun State, killing 1 while 9 others sustained injuries in the Ode Remo in the early hours of Saturday. Vanguard reliably gathered that the attack targeted students staying at the off-campus hostels of Sapade in Ode, Ipara, and Isara. This attack comes barely a week after the management closed the school for 3 days after students protested the rape of a female student last week. The suspected robbers returned to Ode in the early hours of Saturday and attacked student hostel. According to a source, the gun-wielding hoodlums invaded the students' hostel around 3 a.m. and unleashed terror on them, adding that the attack, which took place in the Larufi area of Ode, left 1 dead and 9 others injured, including a landlord. In some of the viral clips of the attack, it was observed that the doors were shattered, windows broken, and the walls riddled with bullets. It was also gathered that the robbers used heavy stones to break some windows to force their way into the hostels. You're watching Global TV News Circle, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using at Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. When the news circle returns, Nigeria-Germany signed agreement to accelerate Siemens power project. The news continues shortly with details of these and other stories right after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree boosting troop numbers by 15% in a move the army said was due to threats associated with the Ukraine offensive. The move comes as both Ukraine and Russia seek to gain ground and replenish their ranks in the conflict, whose front lines have barely moved in recent months. The increase in the full-time strength of the army is due to growing threat to our country linked with the special military operations and the continuing expansion of NATO. The army stated that the number of seven army soldiers would increase by some 170,000 people, and that this was an adequate response to the aggressive activities of the NATO bloc. It added that it did not plan changes to conscription or another mobilization drive, unpopular measure that caused an exodus of men out of Russia last year. The Economic Community of West African States has strongly condemned an outbreak of fighting on Friday in Guinea-Bissau, where the situation had returned to calm Saturday. Clashes between members of the National Guard and Special Forces of the Presidential Guard broke out in the capital Bissau, leaving 2 dead. ECOWAS stated in a statement that it strongly condemns the violence and all attempts to disrupt the constitutional order and rule of law in Guinea-Bissau. ECOWAS further calls for the arrest and prosecution of the perpetrators of the incident in accordance with the law. No fewer than 50 students from the University College Dublin have been involved in the construction of the Republic of Ireland's first successful launch satellite. The satellite EIROSat-1 is a 2-unit CubeSat, miniature cube satellite equipped with three experiments and was deployed into orbit from a Falcon 9 SpaceX rocket from the Vandenberg Space Force Base in California, United States. The students built the satellite was constructed under the guidance of European Space Agency. The launch of the educational Irish research satellite has been described as a major milestone in the nation's space industry. And moving to the world of business, Governor Alex Otti has concluded plans to increase the salaries of the Abia workforce. Otti disclosed this in Umuahia during a media parley with journalists, stating that he is engaging with stakeholders to improve the minimum wage of state workers and that soonest the package would be made public. The reason for adjusting the package, he stated, was in line with the realities at hand, especially the economy, adding that the recently retired permanent secretaries and directors would receive arrears of salaries and gratuity due to them, while reassuring of his commitment to defray pension arrears in the state. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, has urged mortgage banks to adopt rent-to-own mortgage options and flexible monthly mortgage loan repayment as strategies to develop innovative mortgage products and make commercial loans more affordable. He urged all bank CEOs to ensure that Nigerians within the low and medium income segment have access to affordable mortgages. According to him, business owners should not see the provision of housing and home loans from a business and profit motive, but as a moral imperative to reduce the number of homeless persons. The minister gave these recommendations while delivering a keynote address at the 20th edition of Mortgage Banking Subsector CEO's Annual Retreat held on Saturday in Abuja. And still in the news, the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company, PLC, has announced a 5-day power outage in some parts of Anambra State. The organization said the outage is to enable the Transmission Company of Nigeria engineers to carry out facility maintenance on their facility. This was disclosed in the statement issued on Saturday by the head corporate communications, EEDC, Emeka Eze. Eze added that as a result of the panel maintenance, the 60 MVA power transformer at the GCM station will be shut down for the days the maintenance will last. The EEDC distributes electricity to the southeast states. The Naira closed the week at 927.19 to a dollar on the official investor and export forex window. This was a 16.64% decline from the 794.89 Naira to a dollar it closed the week that ended November 24th, 2023, according to data from the FMDQ Security Exchange. Also, the turnover of the dollars traded in the market improved from $75.82 million to $110.14 million in the period under review. On Friday, the Naira began trading at 815 Naira to a dollar for the day before hitting a high of 1,160 Naira to a dollar and a new low of 701 Naira to a dollar within the day. It eventually closed trading at 927 Naira 19 kobo to a dollar. Last week, Friday, the Naira traded at high of 1,136 Naira to a dollar and a low of 700 Naira to a dollar. The Naira has continued to fall despite the Central Bank of Nigeria's attempt to clear a backlog of foreign exchange forward contract. The Apex Bank's governor, Olayemi Kadoso, recently stated that the fiscal deficit and public debt increases are adding pressure to the external reserves and contributing to exchange rate instability. The federal government, through the Nigerian Orientation Agency, has launched a compressed natural gas keke napep to cut down the high cost of transportation. The NOA, in collaboration with the Simba Group of companies and the EcoMed ECAS, launched the CNG Keke on Friday in Abuja. The tricycle is said to consume less fuel compared to the existing tricycles that use petrol, and as such will cost down the cost of transportation to the barest minimum. Addressing journalists at the event, the Director General NOA, Larry Issa Onilu, said the project is focused on touching the lives of ordinary Nigerians, especially those living in the rural areas, and consonant with President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. The DG said the federal government has established about 10,000 CNG stations across the country to ensure the availability of compressed natural gas to the users of the newly launched tricycles. He assured Nigerians that the CNG Keke Napep will drastically reduce the high cost of transportation and other similar challenges currently experienced by Nigerians. And that's how we call it a wrap on the news. My name is Anthony Momodu saying good afternoon.